All right, so I think I have a thing with talking about the NFC North. So my last video was about the Chicago Bears, and this one's now about the Detroit Lions. I think the Detroit Lions are going to be a really scary team next year. Now, before I really get into why I think the Detroit Lions are going to be like really good next year, let's get into some of their offseason additions that have contributed to them being this good in my eyes already. Now, first of all, let's start off with what I think is the steal of the offseason. It's them signing CJ Gardner Johnson. This was one of the best free agents out there, and they got him on a 1-year, $8 million deal. They're not really paying him. He is 25 years old, and he's coming off a career year. I don't know how that works, but hey, I support it. I mean, I don't. I want to see this man get paid, but, he probably going to get paid next year. But CJ Gardner Johnson is a very versatile player. He can play both safety positions. He can play a little slot corner if need be. Like I said, he's coming off a career year where he has 6 interceptions and was a key reason the Eagles made it to the Super Bowl. And I think it's just this. He adds to your team while depleting another one. If you're trying to compete in the NFC, which I believe the Lions are because windows in the NFL are short, so if you feel like you have somewhat of a good team, you got to go all in because you don't get a long window really unless you have Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady. So it's like you got to go in. So they're competing. And they took a key contributor off the Eagles and added it to their team. Like the Eagles defense is not going to be the same given how big CJ Gardner Johnson was for them. And also, the Lions defense, while it did get better towards the end of the year, it wasn't that good. I mean, they did have one game where the Seahawks almost put up 50 on them, and I'm a Seahawks fan, and that still don't make sense. So it's like, yeah, you are strengthening a weakness with this pickup, and also you lost DeShon Elliott in free agency. He's a much better player than DeShon Elliott. This is an upgrade. So, and then their next pickup, which is also a defensive back, it's a corner, it's Cameron Sutton. This is an underrated pickup. I don't think most people know how good this man is except for Steelers fans. He signed for a 3-year, $33 million deal. He's 28. But to put in perspective how good he is, I'm going to read y'all off some stats. This one is according to Pro Football Focus. He only led up 411 total yards in coverage. He also ranked as the 5th best corner among corners who logged at least 400 coverage snaps, also according to Pro Football Focus. Now, these two stats I'm going to say next may not make too much sense. These are both next-gen stats, and it had Sutton ranked as a top 3 outside cornerback in the NFL last season in receptions over expected allowed, which really means you're not expected many yards when you throw to this man. And then ball hawk rate, which was a 20.8%. And this is basically saying if you do throw it to him, there's a chance that y'all not catching the ball, and worse, he's catching the ball and the other team's getting the ball. But again, you're shoring up on what was a weakness. This is a dude who is extremely versatile. He can guard your slot receivers. He can guard your running backs. He can guard your tight ends. But he has most of his experience as an outside corner. And also, coming from the Steelers and the Lions run man at a very similar rate. So it won't be that hard for him, and he won't feel uncomfortable coming into the system, given they have some similarities, especially in like how often they run man coverage. And this next pickup I'm gonna like tell y'all about is very interesting to me. It's the Lions picking up David Montgomery, who was a 26-year-old running back, and signing him to a 3-year, $18 million deal. It's interesting to me because Jamal Williams was very productive for you, and you just didn't pick him up because he signed with the Saints after you picked up David Montgomery. And, running backs can always be cheaper, but I'm not going to get into how much should you be willing to pay a running back, blah, 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 blah. That's honestly a whole nother topic, and that's a topic I'm passionate about because I play running back. But anyway, David Montgomery is a very versatile player. One, he is just a good running back, but he's also he's a good pass catcher. He's also a good pass blocker. This means he's an every down back, which is important. And he also, being an every down back is important because the team will not be able to key what you're about to do given your running back. If you have David Montgomery in, there's a lot of things you can do. You can throw the ball because he's on pass block. You can also throw the ball because he's going to go out there and run a route. Then you can just flat out run the ball. But also, he has been productive with less. He comes from the Bears, and the Bears did not have that good of an offensive line, and they went against stacked boxes because they still were able to run the ball well. And The Lions have a much better offensive line, and they're probably not going to see too many stacked boxes. So I expect him to be very productive, given he was already productive in general. This is a good running back. And also, look, now you got a really good tandem. You have him and DeAndre Swift, two very talented running backs, and running the ball matters because the most important football is played when it's cold outside. It's played in December, January, and all that, when it's cold. And also, you have to go to Soldier Field once. You have to go to Lambeau Field. Places that if you play there, especially at the end of the year, it's likely to be cold. And also it's like you may have to go to Philly. You may have to go to maybe a New York, these places that the weather may not be the best and you're just going to need to run the football. And running the football really matters. And you have two running backs who can do it at a high level. Now, these aren't the only additions they've made. Other key additions or just other pretty good additions is signing Emmanuel Mosley, a cornerback. They signed him to a 1-year, $6 million deal. He was with the Niners. This is a dude who can be a very productive member of your secondary if he's healthy because he has had some injury problems. But the good thing is you signed him to a 1-year, $6 million deal. You didn't pay him a lot of money to where it's going to be disappointing where if he gets hurt. I mean, it's still going to hurt you, but it's not going to be that bad. And then you got Graham Glasgow. This is a guard. He was originally with the Lions. Then I think went to the Broncos, and the Lions just signed him back. And right now he's not projected to be a starter, but you can never have too much offensive line depth. And this is a dude who can play guard and center. He can play both guards and center, which is important. This gives you versatility. This gives you can never have too much depth on your offensive line given how long an NFL season is and how grueling it is. And he's also a veteran. Having a veteran presence on the offensive line where he might play a lot and help lead y'all, that's really important. And so those are their key additions. Now, another reason why I think this team is really scary is their draft picks. They weren't a bad team last year, but they had the number 6 overall pick. So they have 8 total picks in this upcoming draft, 4 in the first 2 rounds. The first and the second round is where you get players who are going to impact you right now and for the future. And you have 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks. You have the 6th overall pick, the 18th overall pick, the 48th overall pick, and the 59th. And that 6th overall pick is really, really intriguing to me because the Lions say that Jared Goff is their guy for right now. And yes, that can be true. Jared Goff did play well last year. He did not play bad last year. But we all know the ceiling on Jared Goff. I don't know if you could win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff. You can get there. It's been proven you can get there. But I don't know if you can win one. And at that 6th pick, you could draft a quarterback and have him sit. Like, let's say. I don't think this is going to happen. I thought this was going to happen like a month ago. But now looking at it, it's probably not going to happen. What if Anthony Richardson falls to number 6? What if? And what if you draft Anthony Richardson, you still let Jared Goff play out this next upcoming year and maybe another one, let Anthony Richardson sit, and a guy who has all the tools but needs the coaching, you just coach him up. And also, you're playing in a dome. That's beautiful for a quarterback. So imagine if they could do that because this team is good. Like, they don't need this pick, but it also would be great for them. Or even if, let's say, they don't want to draft a quarterback because they're really dead set on Jared Goff, they can go out there and just get the best player available. They can go out there and say, okay, we're going to get one of these. We're going to get like a Will Anderson. We're going to go out and get another edge rusher. I'm sorry. I do not remember these prospects off the top of my head. I know these dudes when I see the things about them, but I don't know them off the top of my head, so I apologize. You can get that Texas Tech dude. There's a lot of options you have, and then you still have the 18th overall pick, where let's say my boy, because I'm a Ohio State fan, Jackson Smith-Njigba falls to you, and you draft him, who I think is the best receiver in this draft class, and then your receiving room is looking stacked, because you have him, you have Arama St. Brown, and you have Jameson Williams, who he didn't play much last year, but in the plays he was out there, he caught a big pass. I think he made a few really good blocks. He just did the little things, and he's just a very talented receiver. Again, this team, and you still have those 2 second-round picks, man. I'm probably going to do a mock draft with this team because they could do a lot of things, man. And, again, you can get really good players on rookie deals with the draft picks. And the biggest thing about the draft is getting great value when you draft people. And the thing is, you can go out there and get you surefire picks. And then now what really does make them scary is that they've only gotten better. They've shored up on some strengths and added to things that were weaknesses and made them better. And I mean, also it's just how they ended last year. They ended last year like their ending of last season reminded me of when a college football team wins a big bowl game. You end your season on a very high note. It wasn't a national championship. It wasn't a championship, but you went out there and won a big bowl game. That mattered because y'all have been struggling. And y'all are at the point where y'all need the moral victories. And that's what the Lions were. The Lions started off last season, like, I think 1-6 or something. Then they went on and won in their last 10 games, they went 8-2. And the final game of the season, with nothing to play for, except for pride, they knocked the Packers out the playoffs, which may have been Aaron Rodgers' last game in Lambeau Field. I could not have came up with a better way for their season to end. Like, they ended their season off on an extreme high note where I know them dudes believe in that locker room. Them dudes believe they can win the Super Bowl. Them dudes believe that. And also, they've gotten better each and every year under Dan Campbell. I know this is going to be his third year. But they've just gotten better and better, and I expect them to improve drastically from last year, where I think their improvement from last year is going to show up in the win column, but it may not even be that big. Because I feel like at the end of the year, they were playing some of the best football in the league, man. They went 8-2 in their last 10. That's hard to do. And then also, it's their division. They are not in the best division. Like, let's look at the NFC North. The Bears, even though I just talked in that whole video, I just talked greatly about what I think the Bears are doing and how impressive it is. They're still the Bears. They're still rebuilding. They're still a young team. So I do not expect them to come out here and win 8+ games. I do not. I wouldn't be shocked, but I don't expect it. And then you have the Packers. They have no idea what they're doing at quarterback. Last year, y'all beat them twice. So the Lions aren't scared of the Packers. And the Packers are not going to have Aaron Rodgers. They're going to have Jordan Love out there. And the Packers are going to be a good team because that's what the Packers have been for a while now. But it's like, they're not the dominant team. And then you have the Vikings, where the Vikings won so many one-score games, so many games that could win either way, where it's like, I don't think anybody in their right mind is scared of the Vikings. And the Vikings have honestly gotten worse. So it's like, that division is not that good too. So they can really come out here and win the division. So yeah, this is why I think the Lions are going to be a very scary team next year. And maybe a sleeper. I don't think they're going to be a sleeper because I think a lot of people are going to start talking to them, talking about them. But this team's going to be scary next year, and probably it's looking like for years to come. So thank you for watching the video. I really appreciate it. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And peace.